Months of deadly unrest on the Israeli-Gaza border.
The UN Human Rights Council voted to send a team of international war crimes investigators.
Over 200 medical professionals have been injured by mainly sniper fire.
On Friday, a Palestinian nurse and volunteer was killed by IDF fire.
Razan al-Najjar, who was clearly wearing a vest that medics wear.
هدفنا واحد هو بس إنقاذ وإخلاع.
Freelance photographer Yasser Murtaja was shot in the upper body as he covered the protests. He died in hospital.
The Palestinian Journalist Syndicate says there's a deliberate policy by the Israeli army of targeting journalists in order to intimidate them.
They did use excessive force. You are not calling on the Israelis to stop targeting civilians?
Israel, from my understanding, has just announced that it will conduct an internal investigation into the use of force. We will stand by and we will watch what comes out of that.
Hamas leadership, sometimes at gunpoint, are sending those poor Gazan people to the borders.
They are, in essence, caged in a toxic slum from birth to death. It appears officials do not even consider that these men and women have a right, as well as every reason, to protest.
Today we officially open the United States Embassy in Jerusalem.
Jerusalem is the capital of Israel.
Unilateral actions that undermine peace efforts.
We're not cutting aid to the Palestinians, we're cutting aid to UNRWA.
We lost a quarter of our overall budget. I did not know whether we could do food. The reason why UNRWA exists, the Palestine refugees being thrown off their land, we need to find a just solution for the refugees.
هذا قرار جائر، هذا ناوي يجوعنا وبحاربنا في التعليم وفي العلاج وفي كل شيء.
احنا لاجئين وصرنا لاجئين. اللي احنا بنقدم الخدمات لاجئين.
In Khan al-Ahmar, a Bedouin community of 181 people, Israeli authorities requisitioned land, leveled access routes, and temporarily declared the area a closed military zone in advance of the expected demolition of its structures. To allow the demolition of Khan al-Ahmar, it would have grave humanitarian consequences and contravene international humanitarian law.
Israeli MPs passed the nation-state law. The new legislation defines the country as an exclusively Jewish state.
It's very clearly aimed at enshrining inequality, enshrining apartheid in a constitutional way within Israeli law.
We are sadly witnessing another suspected chemical attack in Syria.
Douma is the last area held by rebels in the suburb of eastern Ghouta outside of Damascus.
I ordered the United States Armed Forces to launch precision strikes on targets associated with the chemical weapons capabilities of Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad.
Russia says the Syrian regime is back in control of eastern Ghouta.
Syrian regime, with the help of Russia, press on with their attacks, making gains on the ground.
The Russian President Putin and the President of Turkey reached an agreement to establish a demilitarized zone within the Idlib de-escalation zone.
There is a surprise winner so far in Iraq's parliamentary elections.
The Iraqi people had an election at a time when many people doubted that Iraq could take charge of themselves.
Iraq's current prime minister says there should be a recount if officials find inconsistencies with the country's new electronic voting system.
Kirkuk's Turkmen Front Party and the region's governor have rejected the results. Shia militia members and supporters of their leader also surrounded the Election Commission's office.
They're protesting what they say is government neglect that's resulted in power outages, dirty water, and high unemployment.
Yet again, Recep Tayyip Erdogan is victorious.
Trump team putting pressure on Turkey to release a U.S. pastor being held for more than a year. Andrew Brunson appearing in court today, facing terrorism and charges of espionage.
We believe he is a victim of unfair and unjust detention by the government of Turkey.
The U.S. is set to prepare a list of Turkey economic sanctions.
The country's currency has plunged to a record low against the U.S. dollar.
Nitekim birileri ülkemizi ekonomi üzerinden köşeye sıkıştırmaya çalıştıklarını açıkça da ifade etmekten çekinmiyorlar. İnşallah biz bu dalgayı da atlatacağız.
People saw him go in, but they didn't see him come out. We're going to take a very serious look at it.
Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi.
Jamal Khashoggi. Jamal Khashoggi.
Jamal Khashoggi.
Jamal Khashoggi. U.S.-based journalist Jamal Khashoggi is no longer alive.
هو حادث بشع غير مبرر تماما. اليوم المملكة العربية السعودية تقوم باتخاذ كل الإجراءات القانونية لتقديم المذنبين للمحاكمة واخذ العقاب الرادع.
The cover-up was one of the worst in the history of cover-ups.
Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman hosts the once vaunted investment conference dubbed Davos in the Desert. VIP invitees have deserted in droves.
The Senate believes Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is responsible for the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. Germany would stop arms exports to Saudi Arabia.
A big purchaser of equipment and lots of other things. I don't want to hurt jobs. I don't want to lose an order like that. And you know, there are other ways of punishing.
The Senate this afternoon stated in a very historical moment that we will not continue participation in the Saudi-led intervention in Yemen in the worst humanitarian crisis on earth. We will not continue to have our military posture dictated by a despotic, murderous regime in Saudi Arabia.
Preparations to list Saudi Arabia's state-owned oil giant Aramco seem to have stalled. Both Aramco and Saudi Arabia are not ready for an IPO. The IPO was at the heart of the kingdom's plan to open up its economy.
Push to make Qatar a 48-team event, and the FIFA president says he remains open to the idea.
All our preparations since day one have been for a 32-team World Cup, and they continue to be for a 32-team World Cup. A notable absentee was the Emir of Qatar, Doha instead opting to send a junior minister. Qatar remains under a land, air and sea blockade imposed by fellow council members Saudi Arabia, Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates 18 months ago.
The state of Qatar has decided to withdraw its membership from the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, effective January 2019.
During the investigation, Mr. Hedges confessed he was acting as an agent for a foreign intelligence service.
Seeing him shaken in court after being handed a life sentence and then being made to leave was beyond heartbreaking.
There will be serious diplomatic consequences for a country that says that it is a friend and ally of the United Kingdom.
His Highness has decided to include Mr. Matthew Hedges among the 785 prisoners released.
The governments of Yemen, the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia are responsible for human rights violations, which may amount to war crimes.
النسبة الأولية للتصويت في الانتخابات بلغت 67%.
Meanwhile, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has officially been declared the winner of Egypt's presidential election. He won with more than 97% of the votes.
The Egyptian courts have ordered the execution of 75 people. They were part of a mass trial of 739 people, all arrested as they protested against Sisi's 2013 takeover.
بهدف إحكام السيطرة على المنافذ الخارجية للدولة المصرية وضمان تحقيق الأهداف المخططة لتطهير المناطق التي يتواجد بها بؤر إرهابية.
These images show just a few of the migrants that the Algerian government has been dumping in the Sahara Desert.
At least 50 illegal migrants have drowned late on Sunday when their boat transporting some 200 people sank off Kirkenes Island in Sfax.
More than 100 African migrants managed to force their way into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta from Morocco.
Kidnapping, human trafficking, rape, death threats and torture.
ما يسكتوش نهائيا كنتمنى هذا الشيء هذا ما يبقاش في المغرب نهائيا.
Khadija's chilling tale caused a wave of indignation and compassion throughout the country.
Violent clashes in Tripoli as rival militias square off in the capital.
Since the outbreak of violence in Tripoli on 26 of August, the UN Human Rights Office emphasizes the need for the facilitation, immediate and unimpeded, safe access to humanitarian aid for all those who need it.
Khalifa Haftar has handed over control of 4 oil terminals to the internationally recognized National Oil Corporation based in Tripoli.
أبارك لكل الليبيين عودة تصدير النفط، سائلين الله عز وجل أن يجعله بداية خير على المواطن وليبيا جمعاً.